Hiya, so today's look is a summer look. We're in the height of summer. So I thought I'd do something quite fresh, quite simple, quite pretty. Because it is summer, I didn't want to do something where I'm using foundation. So I'm just going to use concealer, but still show you how you can make it look quite polished, but without having to use a full-on foundation as well. So first of all, I'm going to start off with one of my favourite products. As you can see, it's half empty, and this is the BECCA Shimmering Skin Perfector. I absolutely love it. I use it every day. I don't do my makeup without it. So I pop on a small pump, so I really don't use much of it at all. There's just a little bit. I put a little bit underneath my eyes. Just to kind of help the light reflect off any dark areas as well. And I literally do just pop it on all over my cheeks, just all over my face. I also use this on my days off when I don't want to use anything at all. This will be the little bit of makeup that I do use, just to kind of give my skin a little bit of a glow and just to help the light bounce off any imperfections that I might have. So this is my go-to product just all the time. Next, I'm going to use some correctors from MAC. This one's called Burnt Coral. As you can see, it's almost finished because I do use it every day. So I'm going to pop a little bit of that underneath. And I don't put it everywhere actually. I only apply it to the areas where I am dark. Just because if I put it on kind of the lighter areas where it is perfected, it's just going to make it look a little bit more orange than I want it to, and then I've got to use more concealer. So I just pop it on the dark areas, and that's at the corner here too. Which makes my eyes a bit sad. And then again, corner. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Ochre, this colour here, and that, when I pop a tiny bit of that on top, it almost makes it look like I've already got concealer on, like quite similar to my skin. You can alternatively mix the two together, but this is just my favourite colour. So again, when I'm applying it, I do have like the most minimal amounts of product on my finger. And you can just see how that kind of like brightens up the orange and almost looks a little bit like my skin. And it's just taken away the dark, the brown area that I have underneath my eyes and at the corner. And it kind of acts like a little bit of concealer, I suppose, just defining the shape of my eye. So next I'm going to pop on a concealer, and this is a NARS one of my favourites. I kind of flitter between NARS, this concealer, and also MAC Pro Longwear, which I tend to use in the winter, and Mineralize matte concealer, which I'll also use again in the summer, but I've got a little bit too much colour now, so if I use the Mineralize one, it's just going to be a bit too light for me. So this works quite nicely as kind of like to conceal and also as my foundation fix. So a little bit under the eyes, a little bit on the forehead, on the kind of like on my nostrils, because that's where I tend to get a little bit red, on my chin, and a little bit on the cheek area. So as you can see, I haven't really put that much on at all. I'm going to use my favourite Real Techniques brush, and I'm just going to tap that all in. And this is my base, that's just what I do every day. Well, every day at the moment now that it's summer, because I want to kind of keep it quite light. And that way you can also see that I'm really not using much product at all. So just blending it in by dabbing. And if I feel like I need a little bit of extra coverage, then I'll just pop a little bit more on. But I think for the moment, until I've got my eyeshadow and stuff on, I think this is enough. So a lot of my friends will know that I love a good glow, and so everything that I'm putting on my face next is going to be a little bit glowy. One of my favourite things, it suits my skin quite complementary, yeah, is the Glow With It Shimmer by MAC. I can't open it to show you because it fell on the floor, it broke. So instead I'm just going to show you how it looks on my skin. So I pop a little bit of that just on the high point of my cheekbones, going in for another dab. Again on the other side. And I'll pop a little bit down the centre of my nose. I don't do the tip of my nose because I just really dislike that look. Okay, and then, don't think I'm crazy, but I'm going to put a little bit more highlighter on. And I'm going to use the ILLAMASQUA Beyond powder. And this is the warmest shade. I'm not going to put it on all over where I put the glow with it. I'm literally just going to tap it on the highest point of my cheekbone, which will just make my cheekbone pop a little bit more. Again, just on the highest point on the tip of my nose. Alright, so for my bronzer, it can be really difficult to find a bronzer for black skin. I've searched high and low, and I've not found a brand that does a good one. So for black people, when you're trying to find a bronzer, the darkest shades always tend to be quite red looking, and I don't want to look red. So I'm using Studio Fix powder in NW55, and this is the perfect bronzer for me. It's warm, but it's dark enough. So that's going. I kind of like to apply it also in kind of like a diagonal direction rather than under here, because that just kind of helps kind of like structure and narrow the face a bit more as well. So it's literally just dusting across the top of my cheekbone as well, just over the highlighter a little bit. So that kind of. So as you can see, it's a nice rich dark colour, but it's not red. And again on the other side. Underneath. I do this every day, so I could literally do this with my eyes closed. And then I dust the top of my forehead as well. My face tends to be quite light compared to my body, and I find that with this shade of the Studio Fix powder, it kind of helps to marry the colour of my face and my body together. Whereas if I use a red bronzer, my face is just going to look red and my body's going to look dark. I've got quite a bit of colour during this summer. And I give the brush a little bit of a pinch, and I just do a tiny bit down the centre, down the edges of my nose to contour a little bit. And I also dust underneath. And I go back a few more times. So one of my favourite things for contouring is the Sleek Face Contour Kit. I've used this since, I don't know, 2008, 2009. It's one of my favourite products. The contour in it is just so rich and so dark, which works perfectly if you have darker skin, because I just kind of feel sometimes that there isn't enough of these kind of colours on the market for black skin. I promise that, well, I'll try to promise that at later dates I won't show products with holes in it, because I absolutely hate it. I think it looks awful. However, it does just go to show how much I do really love this product. And I'm literally just going to dust that just in the hollow part of my face there, just to give a bit more depth. And again on the other side. And then I'm just dusting over where I applied the bronzer. Okay, that's that done. So my blusher of the moment, and it's called Amber in Rose. It has got a bit of shimmer in it. It's kind of like a warm, dusky, bronzy pink type colour, which isn't too bright. I do really like things that look subtle. I'm not a big, I don't like colours that really shout when it comes to the skin anyway. So yeah, this is my blush of the moment. And smile, and then just kind of like work that back into the bronzer. So from the apples of the cheek, and then just brushing it back into the bronzer. And it just gives my skin a hint of colour. Not that there's anything wrong with having, you know, lots of colour on the cheeks, but that's just my preference for myself, really. The next thing that I'm going to use is more glow. It is bronze cream colour base. Now, I did tell you that I liked a bit of, of glow, and this is certainly going to do that. It's a really nice, rich, creamy, shimmery, kind of like wet, glossy looking product. I have people asking me all the time, oh, your skin looks so glowy, and you know, this kind of like does the job. And I also use it as a makeup artist. I use it all the time for my clients and on shoots as well. I put a little bit on my finger, and then I'm literally just kind of like dabbing it on the top. Now I say dab because you don't want to lift the powder products that I've put on. So just kind of dabbing it presses it onto the skin. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a really kind of like glossy look to it. And the more it warms up to your skin, the kind of glossier it will get. Again, to the high point, and pat away. So this is kind of how I do my skin all the time, like almost every day, apart from the evening. If it's the evening, I'd mostly use powder products because generally I'll be going out and I'll be dancing, enjoying myself, and I wouldn't want the gloss to make everything slide off. But for daytime, this is kind of like my go-to. It's what I do all the time. That's why I said I could do this with my eyes closed because I do it every day. Okay, next I'm going to work on the eyes. So I've got, this is actually Body Shop Clear Brow Set, although it doesn't look clear anymore because it's got a bit of my concealer mixed up in it. But it's a brow set, it works really, really well. I am going to be holding up a mirror now so I can see a bit more close up. So I just brush my hairs up. I want my hairs to look, my brows to look a little bit wider, and because my brow hairs are quite long, I can kind of achieve that by brushing the hairs up. I do prefer more of kind of like a fluffier brow than a brow that's too strong. I've got quite, you know, I don't have a full set of brows anyway, so if I went in quite dark, everyone that knows me would be like, oh my god, what are you doing? And again. Okay. Now whilst that's setting, I'm going to work on my eyes. So in the summertime, I've gotten really lazy with makeup as I've gotten older. And so I try to find products that are just going to give me a bit of a wow, oh my god, that looks amazing, without having to put too much effort into it. So with that, I'm using eye gloss. And this is an eye gloss by MAC. It's called Lightly Tauped. One of the things I will say about it is that when you're applying it, it can feel really, well, it is really sticky, it's really thick. If it's not thick, then you're not going to have that wet look for long enough. And one of the things with this is that it does stay on all day, it stays glossy all day. The trick to making it feel comfortable, I find, is if I put some of the eye gloss just here onto the top of my, like the start of my brow bone area, because then it's not gloss, because then it's gloss against gloss and not gloss against, not stickiness against your skin, and that's what makes it feel a bit more comfortable. So, going in with my finger, and I'm gonna dab that one. And I'm just patting it in. And much like the cream colour base that I used as my highlighter, as it warms up to your skin, it gets wetter and wetter, so more glossy. Now, this looks quite brown or beige in the pot, but really it's practically clear. I don't have anything else underneath, so I didn't put any concealer on my eyelids. I'm just using the gloss on its own. And because I have a little bit of discoloration on my lids anyway, like my eyelids are a little bit darker, it kind of looks like I have a bit of eyeshadow on, so I'm just kind of working with what I've naturally got. What I will say is that if you do put an eyeshadow underneath it, the eyeshadow is going to crease. If you don't mind that, look great, but if you do mind it, then you're going to find this a bit of an issue. So I just like to use it on its own with nothing underneath. Okay, so for my lashes, I'm using Maybelline Falsies Push Up Mascara. I did an event with Maybelline a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, and I was fortunate enough to get loads of stuff, but I hadn't tried to make the mascara on myself. I'd use it on other people. So yeah, this is the first time I'm using it, and it's pretty good. I like it. It separates really well. It gives the lashes thickness. The brush is kind of like a small, like acrylic type brush, I guess. It's got quite short bristles, which is quite nice for getting really like close to the lash line and really getting in there to give your lashes a good lift. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. It separates really well. It separates but still gives the lashes thickness at the same time. Yeah, that's good. The oldies that I tend to stick to, I can get set in my ways a little bit with mascara because I like really big lashes, so I know what I like to use, but trying this out today, it might end up being a new staple in my makeup bag. Now I'm going to work on my brows, and kind of like I said earlier, I don't like it too full. So I'm literally just going to focus on the bits where there's gaps. So I just kind of work on making the underneath part quite smooth. I don't put too much in the front because I think if you put too much of the colour in the front, you can end up making yourself looking quite cross or a bit angry. So I kind of leave that a bit sparse. And as you can see, I'm just applying like the odd stroke to my brows, giving it a bit more length at the end, but still keeping my brows quite fluffy. And the way that I'm using this pencil is just really light. I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the clear gel. Just to keep the hairs in place. For my lip, I do love a bit of NARS, and I love these pencil lipsticks, so the Velvet Matte Lip Pencil lipsticks. These are some of my favourites. They're really matte, but they're not drying at all. They stay quite creamy, which is nice, but it has that velvety matte finish, which I love. I always use a bit of lip primer. I'm going to put some of this on first. Just all over. You should leave it for like 10 to 15 seconds to let it go a bit tacky, and then that's when the lipstick kind of adheres to it. So one of the things that I love about the lip pencils is that because it's a pencil, you can get a really nice line. So there's not always any need really to use a lip liner with it. I would use a lip liner with it if I wanted more intensity. But it's just really quick and easy, kind of on the go lipstick. And there we have it. Okay, so sometimes with this whole kind of like summer glowy thing, you can end up looking a little bit too shiny. A little bit too shiny and to the extent where it just looks a bit oily. So if that's the case and you still feel like you really need a bit of, a little bit of powder, I would powder kind of by my eyes, down the sides of my nose only, just so that we keep the glow everywhere else. So it's literally this central part here. So that's the only part that you kind of want to keep matte, otherwise everywhere else is covered. Okay guys, so that's it. That's my go-to summer look. It's kind of what I do all the time. It's quick and easy. So yeah, let us know your thoughts. Let us know what your go-tos are for summer. Let us know what you thought about my look today. Let us know if you have any questions about anything, like you know, what kind of products, what kind of skin you have, and what advice you would want for the type of skin that you have to achieve this look. You know, if you want to know if you're able to use the cream color base, you know, like any questions you might have, just get back to us about it. Our handle is @allscrubbedup, and it's going to be the same for Instagram and Twitter. Nice speaking to you, and see you again soon.